Will Pudgy Penguins flip Doge in this bull run? Well, while that might initially seem a little crazy, I do actually think that there's a realistic chance of this happening because there's so many things happening for the Pudgy Penguins brand that I do think when people are coming back and we have kind of a more alt season capable type of environment, we could see Pudgy Penguins just do some absolutely insane stuff. So I want to go through kind of the Pudgy Penguins brand, how we got here, how did Pudgy Penguins kind of do what it's doing so far, what is the Pengu token, and then what kind of is next, and why do I think it could flip Doge. So running through, I just want to do a super quick kind of overview of the Pudgy Penguins. For those of you who don't know, Pudgy Penguins started out as an NFT on Ethereum. You can see this is like these are all the different Pudgy Penguins NFTs here. So you can see about $39,000 per NFT, which is pretty crazy. There's 8,888 of them, and they were launched in 2021. And they were launched as kind of a brand that called the Igloo Company. They were launched as a brand kind of to like try and replace things like CryptoPunks and Bored Apes and stuff like that. And they actually found a really strong community. You could see here's their website. We'll get to Pengu here in a second, but they kind of tell a little bit about their lore, why they got started, a lot of this type of stuff, but they really caught a lot of steam in 2021, 2022. In the depths of an otherwise really terrible bear market, we're seeing these run like crazy. And so what we've seen right now is we've actually seen Pudgy Penguins build a whole brand around their Pudgy Penguins characters. So you can see here, they've got shops, they've got the lore, they've got the actual Pengu token. Again, like I said, we'll get to that in a second. They also have a whole bunch of different socials. We'll be looking at that in a minute as well. But starting with the shop, you can see that they have a whole bunch of merch, and their shops, from what I understand, actually do quite well. You can see all of the different types of designs and merch that they have. Which has been relatively successful in building the brand and bringing more awareness to the Pudgy Penguins, kind of IP as a whole. Now, the other thing that we have seen out of Pudgy Penguins happen in the past that is really quite surprising and has kind of been one of the first, I would say, mainstream adoptions of a crypto NFT type character is there's a whole bunch of these Pudgy Penguins plushies. They're sold at Walmart, and there's been about 1.5 million of them that have been sold. That you'll also see that this is the case here in the lore section. You can see 50 billion views on social, 1.5 million plus toys sold at Walmart and Target, listed in both places. And so you can see that they really do have kind of that virality brand to it, which is pretty cool. And so essentially what has happened around this is they created this brand that ultimately led to them launching a token where Pudgy Penguins holders got an airdrop of their Pudgy Penguins token. Now you can see here the market cap is $1.7 billion in market cap with a fully diluted valuation of about 2.43. There's almost, over 500,000 holders here with a whole bunch of different, kind of coins or coin listings here. You can see Binance, Bybit, Coinbase, OKX, BitGet, MEXC, KuCoin. Basically all of the big exchanges trade Pengu because it is one of the largest and most prevalent meme coins that there is out there. You can see that there's the 8.88 billion or 88.88 billion Pengu. I believe it was at 10,000 Pengu per NFT that was dropped from what I remember. I can't remember the exact details though. But ultimately what they did is they took this NFT and they ultimately turned it into a brand. And so what we are actually seeing coming down the pipeline is on the Pudgy Penguins YouTube channel, you can see that they're actually in process of creating a game called Pudgy Party. This was announced about 3 weeks ago. You could see it looks like they're trying to make it similar to like a, maybe Club Penguin for those of you who are a little bit older that might remember what that was. And then also, it seems like maybe it's similar to like Mario Party, which is, kind of a fairly popular game on the Nintendo Switch. So that's kind of what they have coming down the pipeline. So this is truly transitioning from just a piece of picture or like an ownable picture on the internet to like now actual physical toys in physical stores actually selling. Then you also have the crypto itself as well as now potentially a game. And then of course that does lead to speculation. Well, is Pengu going to be a currency in the game? Can you earn it? Can you spend it? Can you trade it? Who knows, right? I mean, it's hard to say exactly for sure what's going to happen here. But this all kind of begs the question of like, well, what could we see from the Pengu token price itself? So there's a couple of different things I want to focus on here. First off, they are building a really strong and consistent business brand as the foundation of this kind of whole Pengu line. Now, on top of that though, we are seeing, you know, of course, the NFT itself. The NFT itself is almost $40,000 for a picture on the internet, which is crazy stuff. But this is something where if we were to see more kind of alt season favorable conditions come back, we could potentially see the run of NFTs again. We saw it happen in 2021. We saw Bored Apes and CryptoPunks selling not for, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, but hundreds and even millions of dollars, or hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, you know, kind of at the peak of that. So if we were to see another situation like that come back, I do think that we could see Pudgy Penguins really take off in price for both the NFT, and I do think that kind of coincidentally that would also have the meme coin take off in price as well, because for those of us who can't spend $40,000 or $100,000 or even $1 million on an NFT, I think, you know, that kind of the approximate or the beta play to that would be essentially just getting in on the Pengu token. You can see here currently that the Pengu token is only about 2 cents. So very easy to buy at least one Pengu token. Now, of course, you know, this does still have a very large market cap, but if you have people who are essentially looking for exposure to Pudgy Penguins as their brand and their virality and their presence continues to grow, this could be an absolutely amazing beta play to that. Where when you compare it to something like Doge, Doge is, of course, it's the OG. It's probably one of, if not the most recognizable meme of all time. Dogecoin is the original. It does actually have a real like community around mining Doge and a lot of that type of stuff. But it was intended as a joke, right? So there isn't really a strong like led community there for actually creating new things. You even see things from like the Bonk ecosystem. They're creating an ecosystem around what they're doing. Dogecoin is really just kind of there for the memes and you're holding it because it's fun, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the whole point of a meme coin anyway. But to me, it does seem with something like Pudgy Penguins, where you do have all of this background and the backing and all of these different things happening to support the IP of Pudgy Penguins, it is going to be drawing a lot more eyes to it. And with that, potentially, you know, we could see some appreciation both in the NFT itself. But like I said, you know, there's only 8,888 people who could ever own a Pudgy Penguins NFT, right? Theoretically, there are 88.88 billion people that could own a Pudgy Penguins token. So that's kind of how I'm viewing this, and I do think that this could be a very, very strong beta play based on kind of some of the things that we are seeing. So I do think if we see kind of more alt season favorable environments coming back, and we have people looking into meme coins, and we have people looking for where to spend their kind of, you know, their next dollar in terms of investing it in within the crypto space, we could see the Pengu token really, really take off, because it is going to be as I said, that beta play and potentially take on a life of its own. Plus, if you're adding in various things like the Pudgy Party and the possibility of Pengu maybe being, you know, a currency or a form of payment within the game, there's a whole bunch of different things. There's a world of opportunities that open up. So that's kind of my plan and kind of how I expect to kind of see some of this type of stuff play out. I actually did also want to show kind of what that would look like if we saw Pengu overlap or kind of overtake the market cap of Dogecoin. So we're going to have, if we go take a look here, so here you can see I've actually loaded up, this is called the market cap of, what it does is it just takes two coins and it compares them, you know, kind of the smaller coin to the larger coin. And you could see here that Pengu with the current market cap of Doge would be about a 20x from here, and it would be about 50 cents. So again, a pretty, you know, kind of impressive move here. Now, let's say things really get crazy, and, you know, obviously if we get into this more alt season favorable environment, I'm expecting that we probably see Doge run as well, and we see a nice move out of Doge. Maybe it gets back to its all-time high, maybe it doesn't, but what we can also see is you can compare it to the Doge all-time high. So if we were to see, you know, essentially Pengu get to almost $100 billion market cap, which to be completely fair, I think is crazy. I don't even think Doge should have ever gotten to that level of market cap. But let's just say that it does, then we would be looking at about a 50x from here, turning every Pudgy Penguins token into about $1.41, keeping in mind that right now it's about 2.5, almost 3 cents. So that would be an insane move. You can see though, there is that market cap of $88 billion. So in my opinion, we would need to see some absolutely unhinged, crazy stuff happen for that to happen. But I do think, you know, 10, 20, even 30x, potentially very, very possible because of that amazing, like, strong brand equity that Pudgy Penguins has built and is continuing to build as they expand out their ecosystem. So overall, I'd really be interested to know what your thoughts are here with Pudgy Penguins. Do you think I'm crazy? Am I up in the night? Or can you see how I'm coming to some of these conclusions based on what we've seen so far from the Pudgy Penguins, kind of brand, and also things that we have seen from certain past cycles potentially playing out. So I'd love to hear your thoughts there. Also, if you did find the information in this video useful, of course, a like and a subscribe does help, and you can hit that notification bell so you do stay up to date with all of the different things that we talk about as it relates to crypto. We talk about some of the meme coins, we talk about primarily altcoins, and we also just talk about what's going on in the crypto market to make sure that you're staying up to date with all the things as they land. So overall, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.